So as President Trump's mass immigration enforcement continues, a leaked document is detailing a supposed plan by federal authorities to conduct a large-scale raid targeting illegal immigrants in Los Angeles.
This is interesting. The Los Angeles Times has obtained a leaked internal federal document detailing the plans. The outlet reports that the planned raid was going to be such a large-scale operation that ICE agents were also going to be joined by the FBI and DEA. With this raid supposedly set to happen before the end of the month.
Trump's administration is starting to express frustration over these leaks. Newly sworn-in Attorney General Pam Bondi has issued a clear warning last night for those responsible.
If anyone leaks anything, people don't understand that jeopardizes the lives of our great men and women in law enforcement. And if you leaked it, we will find out who you are and we will come after you. And it's not going to stop our mission. It's not going to stop the president's mission to make America safe again. We were very clear with the lawsuit that we filed in Chicago that if you don't follow the law, you will be prosecuted by the Department of Justice.
So this is the latest news. It comes after Trinidad Agua gang members were allegedly tipped off in Colorado just last week ahead of a raid planned there. And raids in Chicago were also delayed last month after another media leak.
Well, between the leaks and the handful of Democrat-led cities still trying to hinder raids and deportation efforts by declaring sanctuary city status, we'll continue to see how President Trump's deportation efforts unfold. But as we see these stories about how apparently there are leaks coming from inside, it looks like the Department of Homeland Security, or ICE, just goes to show you some people are not on board in those departments with the president's plan.
I'm so annoyed by this. I come at it from two prongs. First of all, you got to find out who the leaker is. They got to be prosecuted. The badge needs to be stripped. If they're a part of the administration, they should be banned from working from any type of administration going forward. But number two, and maybe this is just a personal standard because of my connection with law enforcement, I don't think it should be printed. It puts their lives at risk. Maybe that's just a personal view, Carly, but you got to understand the severity.
I understand what you're talking about. Last week, you mentioned it in what we were just reading. There was that raid in Aurora, Colorado. They were expecting to arrest 100 gang members and criminals. They only arrested one. And Bill Melugin was on that ride along with the ICE agents, went into the apartment complexes in Aurora and said there were no migrants in them, but there were blood on the apartment walls. And that is all you need to know about who is in this country that the Trump administration is trying to get out. But there are these leaks that are preventing that from happening and also putting the agents' lives in danger.
Well, here's the thing. When a news outfit gets a story, you know, we're a news outfit. We want to print what's going on. Invariably, they will ask the agency, hey, there's a story going on. Sometimes the federal government will say, for national security or personnel security reasons,
do that.
Can you hold off on that because we're worried about the well-being of the people who are going to be involved? Obviously, that has not happened. But then again, the leakers might not be inside the federal agencies involved. It could be local police. It could be somebody at one of these sanctuary counties or, you know, entities who do not want this program to happen. But as we've been talking this morning, according to these new polls out, a majority of Americans are happy with the way Donald Trump is
over 60%.
He's following through on stuff he said he would do. And the raids are part of his plan.
That's right. And Pam Bondi put the leaker on notice, whoever it is, whoever they are, we're going to go after you, we're going to prosecute you, and we're still going to get the job done at the border.
Peter, any word on the leaks? Any information on where they're coming from? I know the Department of Justice and they're going after the person. Is this a holdover that's turning this information over? What's the latest on this?
Hard to speculate about who it is, but Tom Homan is really steamed.
Yeah,
and
he is.
Tom Homan has the president's ear, and so this is, it is very unusual, even though there are constant leak investigations in Washington, it's very unusual to have the commander-in-chief himself so invested in trying to figure out who is leaking. It seems like it is coming from somebody with knowledge that only a small group of people would have. And the small group gets smaller and smaller and smaller. until they figure out who the leak is.
Right.
And they have different ways of figuring this out. Sometimes they try to flush out leakers by telling a small group false information to see if the false information gets out there. And so they have some tricks, and
they say they're going to get to the bottom of it.
They'll try.
Yeah.
Well, Peter, they say it's the FBI. Tom Homan accuses the FBI of putting officers' lives at risk by leaking ICE details. He thinks it's out on the West Coast. So, I mean, Kash Patel can't get there quick enough.
I know.
We'll see what happens.
Well, and law enforcement officers swear an oath to not do that. And there are a lot of policies on top of that, HR policies, that they would be violating. But if whoever is leaking the information that is tipping people off to these law enforcement raids, they are facing severe federal penalties.
Absolutely. And the law enforcement could get hurt, and that's the worry. Peter, thank you very much.
Thanks, Peter. As Homeland Security now looks to deputize IRS agents to help boost enforcement efforts.
They can certainly cover a back door. They can certainly transport. They can certainly help process. The non-criminal IRS agent, they can help us process and do some intelligence and wrap around infrastructure planning. We'll take them. We can use all the help we can get because this is a big operation.
There are more tools the Trump team is using here, including, for the first time ever in a counter-cartel operation, a U-2 spy plane has been flying over U.S. soil, according to a report by CNN. Law enforcement sometimes struggles to keep up with cartel technology, but the U.S. military is not going to have such a hard time. And all of this just creates a big new deterrent that is being noticed around the world. The New York Post is citing sources at the border who claim that groups of dozens of migrants at a time are not even making their way all the way up to the border to claim asylum. They are just turning around and going home.
And I remember when Congressman Cuellar said, you need to show video of them being turned around and going back. And I thought, why? He goes, that's all they see in Central and South America, because then it's no longer worth the money.
Peter did mention the number of migrant encounters at our southern border is absolutely dwindling. When you take a look at the number of migrants who were encountered on Sunday, just about 300. The average day in December during the Biden administration was 8,000.
Part of the reason why the numbers are so low is because they're not even allowed to cross. So, for example, you used to have a lot of migrants come across the border and they just surrender to ICE. I'm sorry, to Border Patrol.
Right. And they would have to ask, are you seeking asylum?
Seeking asylum. Some of them went through the app. They did multiple factors. Well, what's happening now, when you see Border Patrol or the military see these folks, or if you see them in the Rio Grande or something like, they're saying turn back around. Right. You can't jump if you try to jump the fence, they're going to use, pepper spray. They're going to use any tool, the bean bags, or they're going to physically push you back across the border. So there used to be this posture of just letting them come across. Yeah. That's no longer the case.
You know what is a forgotten part of the story is we're talking a lot about the migrants, but the people who live on ranches and farms along the southern border. We've all visited those people and done pieces down there. They said that they felt completely forgotten by the Biden administration, who just let hundreds of migrants across their property, and many of them live in, all of them live in very rural areas where the police department is very far away, and they felt threatened for their safety.
Of course.
I spoke to a woman who had a 14 and 12-year-old daughter.
I remember.
And the woman was teaching them how to use a gun just in case anything happened. So, I mean, what a relief to those Americans who now feel that their property is more safe. So, this is private land.
And just to sweeping on everything we just discussed, there's going to be a huge sweep out in California. They announced it already of illegals, and they're already pushing back. I'm watching video this morning, pushing back with the whole California state college system. Pro-Palestinian, anti-ICE protests, the ass-backward state that is.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.